this world, there is real evil in the darkest shadows and in the most ordinary places. These are the true stories of the innocent and the unimaginable.
My fanny pack hit the ground with a thud. The plastic gnome figurines within jostled around, reminiscent of maggots on an open wound. The cab driver, without a word, took off, leaving a cloud of exhaust and the stench of burnt rubber. Pissing in an ocean would be a way to describe the odor, as the other sights and smells of the estate hit my senses. Derelict garbage bags, joined by the aroma of well-used cat litter, filled the air with pungent ooze. Ooze that also stuck to the sole of my shoes as well as my soul within me. My eyes traced the silhouette of a lone house in the middle of nowhere. The Maloney estate. A voice broke the silence.
Come here.
A disheveled-looking man in a butler's uniform penetrated the thick layer of fog cresting the berm. He had long stringy hair and piercing all-white, almost glowing eyes.
Follow.
He demanded softly. He took me up a steep hill to the house proper. We approached the door. The long-haired man knocked. Immediately after, a slit opened up and two small beady eyes appeared.
Colton.
The owner of the eyes chirped.
Take our little guest to the processing chamber.
The slit closed and the door creaked open. The interior was unlike anything I had ever seen. It was grand and magnificent, yet dirty, abandoned, sinister. It's like if you took a grand ballroom of old and sucked all the good out of the air and left all the evil energy and bad smells like farts and shit. Even Colton had to hold his nose from the stench of mold and putrid diarrhea staining the walls. Finally, the butler motioned for me to sit in a tiny dimly lit room. There was no chair, so I had to sit crisscross applesauce on the hard stone ground. I heard a groan and suddenly there was light. The same two beady eyes pierced my soul, now coming from a vaguely human shape. My eyes adjusted to the lighting. There he was. David stood up. A flash of flickering light revealed a small .22 revolver with sissy teal grips. His voice was almost muffled by the sound-absorbing stone brick of the walls.
I think you know why you're here.
He began. I nodded as he pulled out a folded piece of paper with a brand new credit card stuck to it.
As you know, you and I both get a sign-on bonus when we adopt a new card. I don't know how much this one gives, but it's usually about $20. I've probably done 1 million of these by now. I'm so loaded.
The piles of used credit cards in the corners of the room provided all the validity he needed for that statement. Suddenly, his eyes turned a deep red and he let out a loud, sadistic, sinister hacking and whooping series of coughs.
Sorry about that.
He reached his hand into the front of his pants and started to dig around and grunt. He grunted once again, this time in a victorious tone. He pulled out a dingy, shit-covered jewel pod and took a massive, loud hit. He kept sucking and sucking until the vape juice itself came out and filled his mouth. I saw him swallow the vape liquid in a large gulp.
Much better. Now, where were we?
He said in a raspy voice.
Right. Here is the paperwork you need to sign. I know there's a lot, but all you need to do is sign here and here.
He pointed at 2 sign here prompts.
Whoops. Almost forgot the pen.
He made a loud
Piss, 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 piss
sound and rattled a small rusted metal cage beside him. From the darkness of the cage, I witnessed 2 bony-fingered hands grab onto the bars.
My sweet little Juju, come out, little guy.
He once again did the sound.
Piss, 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 piss.
He unlocked the little cage. The critter slowly stepped out on two legs and timidly looked at David, then me.
Nazi. Nazi.
It let out with a squeak. Dave reassured it.
No, Juju, he's a friend. He's an ally to the Jews.
The little creature started hopping up and down shouting.
Dwarf.
Its little fingers pointed at me in accusation and it looked back and forth at me and David.
I'm the young Nazi dwarf.
It shrieked once again. Dave's face turned sour. He backhanded the little critter, sending it flying into a stack of empty cans.
Bring me the pen, you Jewish rat!
He bellowed in a startling, booming voice. The creature squeaked in submission and retrieved the item, offering it up to me with two hands. I took the pen and signed the dotted line. David's face lit up as it contorted into the most evil, devilish thing I've ever seen. His forked tongue even poked out of his mouth as his body started to squirm and kick his feet.
You have no idea what you've just done for me, little boy.
He let out in a demonic voice. I dropped the credit card referral sheet and stumbled back in terror. Before I knew it, David was coming after me. I ran like I never had before, my heart racing and adrenaline skyrocketing. I was too scared to look back as I knew he wasn't far behind. I could hear his footsteps and an inhuman giggle. Like I was nothing more than a game to him, like he could kill me at any moment but just wanted to toy with me. I was sure this was the end. In my panic, I failed to realize that one of my shoes were untied. As my shoes started to slip off, I prayed that this was all just a bad dream and that I'd wake up any second now. No, that would be too merciful, too simple. I felt as if somehow this was retribution for all the wrongdoings I've done in my life, like the devil himself was tasked with my punishment. With my shoe almost off and myself about to collapse from exhaustion, I accepted my fate. I stopped and whipped around, screaming at David with the last of my breath and energy. It's the only thing I could do. David, now almost unrecognizable from his human form no more than a few inches from my face, looked at me, no longer laughing, with an expression that I couldn't describe with any combination of words from the human language. I could feel his gaze in my very being, as he took his hands and covered my eyes and mouth. I tried to stop him, but it was pointless. I had no strength left in me. I felt his being come inside me, and suddenly I passed out. Later I woke up, not sure of how much time had passed. David was nowhere to be seen, but I had a strange feeling. I was weak and trembling. When I stood up, I felt a pain I'd never felt before in my stomach, like I was being torn from the inside, and nauseous. I slowly and painfully made my way to the bathroom, with my skin losing more and more color by the minute. I looked in the mirror, only to find the outline of a little David face pressing against my stomach. There was no mistaking it. I'd recognize those eyes anywhere. My worst fear came to life. I was carrying David's offspring.